Hi, everybody. Dan Illman here for the DRF Breeding Report, talking to Nicole Russo. And Nicole, we've got some breaking news. Superstar mare Tepin has been retired.
Yeah, this morning out of Churchill Downs, her connection saying that the two-time Eclipse Award winner just not showing the same enthusiasm in her training in recent weeks, even after returning to her home base here in Kentucky. So they've made the decision that her heart just sort of isn't in the game and that it's time to call it a career with her. What a wonderful career it was. Of course, her win at Royal Ascot and the Queen Anne, the only American-based horse to ever win that really prestigious event, beat the boys in the Breeders' Cup Mile and the Woodbine Mile. Just such a good race mare. Owner Bat Masterson saying that Tepin will not be bred this season, as we're already more than halfway through the breeding season here in Kentucky. She'll remain in familiar surroundings at Mark Cassie's barn at Churchill Downs for at least the foreseeable future before eventually, moving on to a farm. The big question is going to be whether Masterson chooses to keep Tepin and race her offspring or sell her as a broodmare prospect or even in foal next year. At one point, at the end of the 2015 season, she was entered in the Tepin November mixed sale, that just sort of as an insurance policy should she have not been able to run in that Breeders' Cup for whatever reason. Of course, after she won the Breeders' Cup Mile at Keeneland, they scratched her from the sale, but we'll see what options are on the table for them. Tepin's very well bred as a broodmare prospect. She's a half-sister to Vijack and another graded performer in Prime Cut, and really, she's got a terrific shot to move on to a good second career after a wonderful, wonderful racing career.
Such a popular mare, and she's worth her weight in gold. As a broodmare prospect, she, of course, was trained by Mark Cassie. The good news for Mark Cassie is he has plenty of other good horses, including two-year-old champion Classic Empire, who, as we're going to see in last Saturday's Arkansas Derby, got back into the winner's circle. He needed a big performance, and he delivered.
Yeah, and of course, Classic Empire did so much as a two-year-old, has had some bumps in the road this year at 3. The Arkansas Derby really looks like the sort of race that he's going to move forward off of. Of course, you have to question if he got much at all by way of a fitness perspective from his only start earlier this year in the Holy Bull when he was beaten as the favorite. Coming off a long layoff into this race, it looks like he got a good, stiff challenge that is going to help him move forward from that fitness and conditioning perspective. Of course, the distance has, never been much of a concern with him, being by Pioneer of the Nile, who's, proven himself as a young classic sire with horses like Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh, and with some other graded performers like Cairo Prince, Vince Ramos, who have been players on the Triple Crown Trail in the prep, earlier in his career here.
And also Midnight Storm, who earlier this year just missed in the big cap, going 1.25 miles. A very exciting young stallion, obviously Pioneer of the Nile, who stands for $110,000 at WinStar, Kentucky. But there's also a good amount of class and speed on the bottom of this pedigree. Classic Empire is the 3rd stakes winner out of this Cat Thief mare.
Yeah, and there is a lot of class on the bottom of the pedigree. I think Classic Empire has managed to answer and distance questions that are posed by the bottom half of the pedigree. Most of his dam's other winners have won at sprint distances. Of course, Uptown Twirl, a very nice filly out of that Cat Thief mare, Sambuca Classica. A lot of class and stamina farther back in the family. A lot of really good stakes fillies further back in this family, including Champion Revadaire. And other horses to come from this family in recent years include Florida Derby and Bluegrass winner Harlan's Holiday. So, it's a proven classic family on both sides.
And it helps that he can run as well. So the 2-year-old champion Classic Empire recapturing some of the luster he might have lost after that defeat in the Holy Bull earlier this spring. He's going to be a major contender on the first Saturday in May. The other Kentucky Derby points prep race last week won't have an impact on the Kentucky Derby, but it's possible that the winner of the Lexington Stakes, Senior Investment, might show up and join the Triple Crown Trail in the Preakness. Here's Senior Investment winning the Lexington, and boy, with the way he eats up the ground in the stretch, it appears the distance is his friend.
Yeah, it was a heck of a run late in the stretch here. Senior Investment by Discreetly Mine, who won the King's Bishop, Grade 1 sprinting. Many of his foals have, kind of excelled at those shorter distances. He has had some luck with, a couple of his runners. Classy Class was multiple graded place going longer earlier in his career. Classy Class, this weekend, with the Lexington, actually was also in the winner's circle, winning a 6.5 furlong allowance optional event at the Aqueduct, earned a career best 101 buyer. So Discreetly Mine definitely throwing some class, but I think the stamina is a little bit of an issue with the stallion. But boy, Senior Investment sure ate up the ground there at Keeneland.
Gets a little bit of stamina from the bottom half of the pedigree. You mentioned Discreetly Mine, who began his stud career at Lane's End and is now in South America, winner of the King's Bishop, going 7 furlongs at Saratoga. But this dam could go a route of ground. She was a multiple stakes winner, third in the Gardenia handicap at Ellis Park, and that dam's a half-sister to Ashmore, who was placed in the Pennsylvania Derby. So there is some stamina on the bottom, and the way Senior Investment runs, maybe a race like the Preakness or even the Belmont down the road. But I understand what you're saying. Maybe that Discreetly Mine provides at least an impediment.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the Preakness. Trainer Kenny McPeak has said that is the plan, since the Lexington only carries 10 Derby qualifying points to the winner. Not really going to make an impact this year. They're looking ahead to the Preakness with him. That dam that you're mentioning, Plaid, is by Travers winner Deputy Commander. So of course, she was bred to go long. Scored all of her career wins at a mile or a mile and a 16th. So all route wins. Just a tough race mare. Looking at her record, as you mentioned, she was a multiple stakes performer. She ran 5 seasons, won 13 of 44 starts, and earned over $500,000 the hard way. So definitely some class and some grit on that bottom half of Senior Investment's pedigree.
You can follow Nicole on Twitter at DRF Russo. You can follow all the latest breeding news at DRF Breeding. We'll see Classic Empire in the Kentucky Derby. Perhaps we'll see Senior Investment in the Preakness. And we'll see you next week for the DRF Breeding Report with more Derby and Oaks news.